Morning, everybody. It's Miss Sopiarz-Rianda. I hope you guys are having a good week so far. I want to thank those of you that came to the virtual conferences last night. I had some great conversations and really enjoyed talking to you and your folks, your guardians. Also, just want to remind you that tonight is face-to-face parent-teacher conference, another opportunity to meet me if you haven't already, and talk about the class and your grades and basically kind of just touch base. So if you're able to come to conferences tonight, please do. They're at from 6 to 8:30 at the Jeffco Ed Center down in Golden. So please come by if you can. And I really want to emphasize, if you can believe it, we are halfway through, a little over halfway through October. And we are really getting into the semester at this point. So if you are struggling in this class, it's really the time to reach out to me, and I've reached out to every single one of you in some way if you are struggling in this class. So if you are struggling in this class, you have to contact me. You've got to communicate with me. It's not too late. It's never too late, as long as you're ready to start working. I'm happy to help you. I'll give you that opportunity. So if you feel like, oh, I'm just too far behind, I can never catch up, it's not true. I can help you, but you've got to make that first step. You've got to advocate for yourself, and you've got to contact me. I'm not scary. I'm very friendly, and I'm happy to help you. That's literally my job. So if you fall into that category and you know who you are, please do yourself a favor and contact me this week to get a plan going. Okay? With that said, we are moving on. And we are going to be finishing up this unit in the next 2 weeks here. Really, the next 2 weeks, we're going to be focusing on drafting and finalizing your short stories. All these past 2 sessions, we have been reading model text. We've been reading examples of the short story genre, and we've been studying all the different elements that create that craft. And now it's your turn, basically. You are going to be writing your own short story. So that's really our focus the next 2 weeks here. And you can see here on the right-hand side, those are the assignments that are due by Tuesday, October 22nd. But you really need to work on this every single day this week. This is not an assignment that you can do in just one day, because I guarantee your work won't be good and you will feel overwhelmed if you wait to do this assignment to the very end. I'm breaking out the writing process for you this week and next week. So follow this recommended schedule for Unit 3. And you can see that today I'm asking you to review the curriculum and complete the pre-writing, and then choose a key feature to imitate in your writing. We're going to have a quick discussion on that. Friday, over the weekend, Monday, Tuesday, draft your short story, start writing it, and then finally submit on Tuesday your first draft into the discussion board. And it's really important to submit that first draft into your discussion board by the end of the week, because guess what? Not only do your peers give you feedback, but that's where I give you feedback. So my feedback on your first draft will be in that discussion board. It won't be, I won't list it, so everyone can see my feedback for you individually. I'll put it on the side and you can see it in the grade book, but that's where I will give you feedback. So that's why it's super important to submit your first draft into that discussion board, because you do not want to submit a draft that I have not seen into the final in week 4 over here, because that's what you're going to be doing. You're going to be pre-writing and drafting and doing some peer editing this week, and then next week you are going to be completing a works cited page, revising your story, and then submitting it to turnitin.com. okay, like we did with our essay back in Unit 1. Okay, so this is really a work in progress this week and next week, and I want you to treat it that way. All right, so clicking on Unit 2, just want to go over the assignments here. But first I had to have a sip of my coffee because it's a little early. Okay, so I'm not going to go over every single slide because you can definitely do that on your own. In the pre-writing short story fiction, it takes you to a website that can help you outline your idea for a short story. Remember, you're going to be, you need to have a plot line. You need to follow that, you need to have a setting, you need to have rising action, a climax, and a resolution. So those are all the elements that you need to think of. You need to think of the outline of your story, short story basically, before you start writing it. And that's what this pre-writing assignment will do. It forces you to pre-write and think about your short story before you write it out. Remember, a short story has a problem. It has a conflict. If there wasn't a problem or a conflict, whether internal or external, then there is no story, a traditional story. So be sure to remember that as you're writing, you're thinking about your short story, that there needs to be a plot line, which means that there needs to be a conflict, and it needs to be resolved. So those are the elements that you'll be talking about and thinking about and pre-writing about in this pre-writing short story assignment. Here in the short story discussion, you're going to choose a key feature to imitate in your story. And see, the thing is, you've been reading some incredible short stories, some of my very, very favorites. But each one has focused on we focus on a specific element of a short story genre. In these 3 short stories, we focused on creative word choice. In this short story, we focused on foreshadowing and also flashback. And then in the last one, we focused on setting. So what you get to do in your short story is that you need to choose one of these key features and imitate it. You have an example in each one of these short stories of what that looks like. And what your job is going to be is you are going to imitate in your short story one of these elements, one of these features. So here are some links that I just wanted to give you on this page. So use these links to reread or skim the story that you're choosing to imitate, and then post to the discussion using 3 prompts. So you'll need to answer 3 of these questions. Okay? Which key feature are you including? Which specific story are you imitating? What did you like about that story that you'll include in your draft? And how will your story elaborate on the idea of dream denied? Because remember, that is one of the criteria of your short story, is that it needs to be a dream, it needs to expand or elaborate on the idea of dream denied. And remember to come back and post it to at least one other student on that site as well. And then you'll be going through the drafting and editing process, and again, you'll submit your final draft in the discussion board, where you'll give feedback to at least one other person. And I just want to overview the requirements of the short story, and they're all right here. It's pretty self-explanatory. It needs to be about 400 to 800 words. You need to have a fully developed story with a traditional plot line. Again, that's in the next slide coming up of what that plot line looks like. You'll be designing your plot line. It must use the theme of dream denied, just like in the short stories in this unit. You must imitate at least one element from the short story unit that we just went over. It also needs to include all of these elements. So be sure that before you submit that rough draft, that all of these elements are completed. And that's the nice thing about writing a first draft. It doesn't have to be your final draft. You can completely change it. But if you don't take advantage of submitting that first draft into the discussion board, that you won't have the opportunity to make those changes before you submit your final. Okay? So again, you guys, if you have any questions, any concerns, if you need any help, I'm not scary. My kids think I'm scary sometimes, but I'm really not. Please contact me. I'm here to help. Have a fantastic week, and I hope to see some of you at parent-teacher conferences tonight. Thanks, guys.